All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very special video. I'm going to be starting a Goldbach fundamentals video for the beginners, for people that want to look up specific topics on Goldbach. I've compiled an even more simplified version of Happy Plaka's book, distilling what I think is pertinent information, very important information, um, into the foundations of Goldbach, and what you should definitely have in your repertoire before ever approaching a market and making a trade idea, right? Because ultimately, the reason we're here is to make money, and Goldbach is a great tool, a great foundation to make money. It provides you a lot of the missing clues that ICT doesn't quite get into, including maths and some equations and formulas that kind of help you decide, and kind of systematizes your trading, right? And that's what we want. So I've compiled uh, a guide, if you will. I compiled like a mini course, free of charge, um, to provide to the community as a resource, so they can always come back and view these videos. These videos are going to be broken into several different pieces, and I'm going to get into it. So let's start. All right. So this is the content of this guide, right? So the first topic we're going to be getting into is Tesla 369, the power of three. We're going to be getting into Goldbach levels, price symmetry, also dealing ranges and range dynamics, time and look back partitions. We're going to be getting into AMD cycles and Goldbach algorithms, trade plans and applications. Okay. And then I'll have very specific addendums and additional modules for this guide that I won't include because it's not technically foundational, right? Um, so let's get into it. Tesla 369 and the power of three. All right. Tesla 369 is the formula that Happy Plaka uses for the foundation of his math formulas. And it comes from Nikola Tesla, who believed that 369 held the pattern of the universal energy and vibration, right? In trading, these represents the phases of movement: accumulation, manipulation, distribution. 369. It's the very basic foundation where all the numbers derive from. Okay, it's very important to know where it comes from, so that we understand how we're going to use it: accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and why we use it. And a good analogy, a good way to think of it is, just as musical notes form octaves and harmonic multiples, price tends to move in rhythmic multiples of three. Okay, think of the PL3 as a musical rhythm that repeats in harmonic cycles. Markets dance to mathematical beats, right? So the the price fluctuation moves to this 369 pattern: accumulation, manipulation, distribution cycles. All right. And this is Nikola Tesla. He quoted that if only you knew the magnificence of the 369, you would have a key to the universe. And you could tell the importance of it in trading, because it reveals itself in trading, it reveals itself in nature, it reveals itself in life. Okay. Next, we're going to discuss the mathematics of the power of three, the progression. This is where we get our PO3 ranges: the 3, the 9, the 27, the 81, the 243, the 729. Those are all steps of exponential power of three. Each range is a magnitude, like different zoom levels in a chart, right? On example, the 81 pip may define a short-term range, and a 729 pip is a swing trading range, right? So you're just scoping in and out of your ranges. Similar to pixel resolution, the higher the power, the more detail you see. The higher the power, 729, the more detail you see. That range true. All right. And to give you an idea on the ranges and how to align your PO3 number as a reference, there's this guide, right? We have different trader types. We have a scalper, we have a day trader, and we have a swing and position trader. And obviously the suggested ranges for that are the 3,927 for a scalper, the 2781 243 for a day trader, and the 243 729 2187 range for your PO3 numbers, right? So you can kind of get an idea what ranges you should be using if if you want to execute a specific trade idea. Are you holding for a 27 pip range, 27 point range? Are you holding for 81 point range? Are you holding for a 243? That'll give you a better idea on what range should you be focusing on, right? Because I know a lot of individuals have a lot of questions about the ranges. What range should I be using? What range should I be using? It all differs, right? You might see that a 81 range is expanding, right? And we'll talk about that later in the foundational Goldbach foundations. But your 81 might be expanding into the 243. But if you don't know that that's happening, you might be a little confused and get stuck on why your 81 is not being respected, right? Again, for your intraday range, your 81, your weekly range for 243, monthly view 729, and this is kind of what I was talking about. This allows you to run PO3 plus one, the next range, right, from the 243 to the 729. This is plus one PO3 will give you the view on what's happening. All right. So the PO3 is a structural framework. PO3 numbers act like grid lines for institutional trading. Hidden tracks price hidden track price tends to follow. Sorry. Um, there are hidden tracks in price that it tends to follow, right? In institutional trading, they establish a modular price blocks, kind of like Lego blocks stacked into market structure. An example of this is 243 range fits perfectly within a 729 range and a 2187 range. Like city planning streets, PO3 define boundaries for movement, but traffic price moves dynamically within them, right? And my next slide encompasses that perfectly. You see a 729 range, a 243 range fits three times in a 729. 81 fits into a 243 three times. That also fits in it 3, 6, 9 times, right? And you kind of see the 3, the 6, the 9 kind of playing out as we're trading, right? You kind of see where that pattern is developing. The Nikola Tesla pattern is developing. This is very important, right? Because if you're trading this range, the 81, you're inside a 243 that's unfolding. And it's very important to understand how each range is developing and how you fit and how your trading style fits within it. Okay? So the next topic we're talking about is AMD cycle alignment. So we have accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. Everybody talks about this. In the Goldbach book, he goes into detail on how he uses it, and this is probably only one of the few ways, one of the few ways I've seen a person describe it in a way that makes sense to me. And I use this in my trading all the time, the AMD cycles, right? Accumulation zone, manipulation zone, distribution zone. London session hunts, stop hunts 6, right? Because manipulation is the 6 in the series, followed by a New York expansion, which is a 9 distribution. Okay, and this is what that looks like on a chart. Okay, So we have accumulation from low to high. We have a manipulation leg, right? That fakes buyers into believing that we're going down, disrespecting PD arrays. This is our manipulation. But at the end of the manipulation, we get this huge candle that begins to distribute upwards, right? So this is where we get our accumulation, manipulation, distribution phase one, distribution phase two. This is where this comes from, right? And Huppy Plaka in his book, he uses time fibs, right? A fib that separates time. It doesn't separate price, it separates time. And I can give you the time separation details on the fib in a separate video, but as you can see, I use this accumulation, manipulation, distribution on the monthly time frame, right? This is from August to September, and I used it to separate each block of our phases in price, and I was able to see when the manipulation phase started, which was on this day, which looks like the 16th of August. And you could see as soon as that shift happened, we start getting our downtrend, our manipulation phase downwards, right? So our 3, our 6, manipulating all the way back into accumulation, mitigate. We have an impulse higher, and then our distribution phase goes higher, retraces to sweep the manipulation leg, and then continues back to the main trend, right? So this is the accumulation, manipulation, and distribution cycles, all right? And we're gonna end it here. Um, in the next video, we're gonna discuss Goldbach levels and price symmetry. Um, like I said, this is gonna be a full guide discussing everything, the foundations that I think is necessary to kind of build a trading system for yourself. You don't need all of these tools, but of course, I'm going to go through the most important pieces of the book so that you have the tools that you can pick and select and formulate into your own trading model, right? That's the purpose of this video. Okay, so until then, please stay tuned for the next video, Goldbach levels and price symmetry. Okay, see you in the next one.